Anyway, so let me give you an introduction. So so bad AI, basically in the heart of bad AI, there is this Chaingraph technology. So we have been building this Chaingraph tech for probably like since OpenAI released their API. So it has been a hobby project initially. So we haven't been putting that much dev effort into it, but we were working like every now and then on it. So the very like general idea was that when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT, it was kind of clear that LLMs, transformer-based LLMs, they are kind of like general purpose that like created on the entire knowledge base of the internet, and for a lot of very niche use cases, you would need to have some sort of a calibration framework that would allow you to narrow down the scope of a given agent or to give an agent some more persistent context, something that you guys might know under the RAG, right? So retrieval augmentation generation, or other ways to do like the internal knowledge base for an agent. So you need persistent context for an agent. It would be great if you could have several agents interacting with each other, right? That would be great to have. And definitely access to deterministic logic would be also great, because maybe if you want to build an agent that does some portfolio management, it would be great if the portfolio management decisions themselves would be not LLM based and not subject to hallucinations and all the non-determinism that LLMs introduce. So basically all those things were on the were kind of evident, and so that's what we started building the framework for. So the closest thing that you have to Chaingraph, just to maybe put a point of reference, is definitely the LangChain, right? So LangChain is probably one of the most popular repos when it comes to AI across both the Humming Face, right, and the Hugging Face, obviously, sorry, and the and GitHub as well. So the idea is that you have a framework. Within this framework, you can design the decision tree of an agent. So everything that happens for the user on what the user thinks is the inference stage, right? So all the steps that happen there can be modeled, and this is what the decision tree is, right? So everything that happens between the prompt and the output. And on this decision tree, you can just pretty much introduce all sorts of logical hops, and every such logical hop that we call a node. So they have nothing to do with blockchain nodes, by the way. We just call them nodes. It can be just a logical operator, a mathematical operator. It can be a call to an internal knowledge base of an agent, to the RAG, right? And it also can be, for example, an execution node that can speak to external APIs. So in other words, just to kind of like boil it down to something very relatable, if you want an agent to be able to access, let's say, a latest coin prices, then you might introduce a node which speaks to CoinMarketCap. And then if you want to see what kind of smart money moves have been there between those coins, then you can introduce the Nansen API node, right? And then obviously if you want your agent to post in Twitter, then it should be a Twitter wrapper node. And basically any programmatic interface there is, you can wrap into the node and you can include in the decision tree of an agent. That's pretty much the idea. Now, this all sounds kind of complicated, and that's why we have decided to build a visual interface for this. So it's basically a graphing interface. Again, you can find, if you go on badai.io and you just try to create an agent, then on the second tab, you will see the Chaingraph interface. I'm gonna try to maybe in the meanwhile, just let me not interrupt myself for now, but I will demo you that thing. I hope I can do it. I'm not sure, but anyway, so if you just create new agent, it's called agent editor, and you put some placeholders on the first name, last name, and the role, then pretty much on the second tab you would have the Chaingraph setup, and then you can just start a new Chaingraph, and that's one sec. Let me try to actually. Maybe I can do it. One sec. Can I? You can't stream into the channel. How can I share the screen? Can you help me?
You have an option next to your video and microphone option to share your screen.
I unfortunately don't have it. So there is. You can't stream into the channel. It says. But again, let me just send the link, I guess, and everyone can just come there and try to do it themselves. I think that's the best demo always, right? One sec, here we go. So that's the link.
I've just updated your role. If you can try it now, if you can try to show your screen, you'll be able to
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, open system settings. Oh my god. Yeah. Second, guys. Apologize for that. Just give me a sec. I need to quit and reopen the Discord. Let me do it in the very end of the thing. I just needed to update the permissions for Discord.
Sure.
Yeah,
Anyways,
sounds good.
sorry guys.
No, I just said it sounds good. Sounds good. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, and so basically the just to quickly tell you what the angle with zero gravity here is, obviously, is that, I mean, it kind of like thematically fits right now, I guess, in the storyline. So the idea is that, of course, you can do one of the types of the execution nodes are calls to large language models, right? And so we have obviously all the regular stuff integrated. So you can have Anthropic, Claude, you can have OpenAI, you can have the DeepSeek, well, pretty much all the family names, right? Mistral. So Mistral, all the other things, and so the very important move for us, I guess, to kind of like bring it closer into the Web3 ecosystem is to obviously integrate some decentralized LLM calling functions. And so obviously the DeepSeek deployed or Llamas deployed on zero gravity is the way to go for us. And so basically you guys can expect having both a storage node and an inference node on the Chaingraph that talks directly to the zero gravity protocol. And so I shall hope that for a lot of agents that are built on top of bad AI, the actual inference will be, an LLM calls will be happening through, obviously through the zero gravity protocol. So that's the key idea. Also, like from the, I guess that's the idea about Chaingraph. So it's a state-of-the-art framework. There are many cool features, like people can work on the same chain graph, like together collaboratively. You can fork chain graphs, right? So if, for example, I built a super cool agent and I want to like give it to the community, then I can open source the chain graph. People can fork the chain graph and do, the chain graph of this agent, right? So every agent basically is a chain graph. So they can fork the chain graph, they can do all sorts of augmentations, they can add something, remove something, whatever, and then, they can start working from there, right? So it's very collaborative. It's a low-code solution, so basically, like, you don't need to code, and we have built it initially for my product people to be able to build agents without bothering the devs. As you all guys know, devs are in short supply, especially the good ones. So basically, it does not require you to be a coder. So it has some learning curve to it. So it's not like the most trivial thing. But at the same time, after 2 hours, I apologize. After 2 hours of some basic learning, you can already understand how to use the framework. Now, but at the same time, for example, if you do feel like coding, you can always go to the GitHub and you can start adding different nodes. So for example, if in your agent, you really need the, I don't know, let's say Nansen API. I really want the agent to be super smart about the smart money moves in the, Solana ecosystem, for example, right? And there is no such node that you can tap into. Then you can go into the GitHub and you can code your own node that goes and addresses a particular given API, and then this node will be added for everyone to use, right? So including yourself, of course. So basically, if you are a coder, you can do a lot of cool stuff. Even if you're not a coder, you can do a lot of cool stuff. And I guess the major value proposition about Chaingraph is that you can build highly non-trivial logic of agents without being a programmer. So in other words, if you guys have taken a look at the general AI agent landscape in Web3, you might have noticed that most of it is complete garbage and pretty much doesn't do anything, really, apart from some basic things, right? And so our idea has always been to empower the community to be able to build complicated, sophisticated agent logic. So for example, if you think about AI-XBT is a super difficult agent to kind of build. If you're not a coder, it's practically impossible to build AI-XBT, right? So it's not built on game. It's pretty much their own internal engine that does that, and pretty much like it's not easy to do something like this unless you feel like coding a lot, right? So with Chaingraph, you can build an agent which would be just like AI-XBT without having to code anything. So that's the key idea, right? To empower both technical guys and non-technical guys to build cool AI agents. So that's the Chaingraph, I guess. Before I proceed to the rest of the product, the rest of the protocol, do you guys have questions on this?
Guys, if you have any questions, please do drop on the chat, and we have Mike here to answer us.
Yeah, so maybe we can relegate it to the
And no, please continue. And I think in the meantime, we'll ask the community members to post the question, and in the end, we can dedicate a time for this.
Okay, great. Yeah. So okay, now the app itself, right? Because Chaingraph is just a GitHub repo. It's a graphing interface, and it's the entire logic underneath, right? So that's what Chaingraph is now. But BedAI is a little bit bigger than just that. So BedAI also have the app, right? The platform. So the link to which I have shared in the chat. And so the idea of the app is pretty much to provide provide the chatting interfaces, right, and provide a launchpad for agents to be launched. So the way we see it is that vast majority of agents don't really need a token, right? So agents do need Web3 integrations for all sorts of things like decentralized LLMs, obviously, and compute, and for payments and for other things. But basically, the business model of an agent is it's much more natural to build a fee-based model rather than like launching a token for every useless agent that can be built, right? And so that's why the way we have built the launchpad is that it's more of a not pump fund style, but it's more of a permissioned launchpad where people can raise larger sums for some premium agents, assuming they have a nice business model, nice case for the token, cool team, blah, blah, blah. So basically all the things that define a good project, right? So we didn't want to make it like a dumpster type of thing where there is like 1 million tokens and out of them probably 4 are worth something. All right, we wanted to build more of a premium ecosystem in a sense. So so that's also, there is a launchpad, there is staking obviously, so there is the chatting interfaces and pretty much all the other things you would expect from an AI agent app, right? Now, also a very cool design, by the way. So if somebody hasn't seen it yet, you guys are welcome to go take a look at that, right? So some ideas of some things that I also wanted to note, I guess. So a chain graph is the decision tree of an agent, right? But then you can have like a chain graph squared. So like a chain graph of chain graphs. So the idea there is that's what people refer to as swarms, right? So when you have like one agent, which is like an orchestrator, and then every node of that agent is an agent in its own right? So basically, if you want to put together, let's say 10, 20 agents in one chat, and then you want them to start solving for some very particular issue, right? By discussing, critiquing each other, and things like this, then you basically can create this chain graph of chain graphs where you kind of define the interaction rules for agents within a chat, and then, basically they can start doing something, right? So I don't think there are many platforms in Web3. I don't think there are any platforms in Web3, to be honest. Maybe I'm not right here, but I haven't seen them, where you can have multi-agent interaction in one chat, right? So on OpenAI, on BedAI, you can do it. You can just go and you can pretty much, go and add a couple of agents in one chat and see how it goes. So, we are still to deliver in the upcoming month, I hope, like the editor for Chaingraph Squared. So it does exist in the GitHub, but it's not yet integrated into the app. So right now what we have is a router, which basically just understands, it's also an agent that understands based on your prompt, which agent is best fitted to answer your question, right? And you can obviously kind of say like, hey, you answer, you critique, whatever. So you can do it like manually in a sense, but we will soon be deploying that thing where you have this chain graph squared where you can have like several agents interacting according to some scenario, right? So that thing is definitely coming. And so basically, there are a lot of also very cool technical things which are coming very soon. But I guess I'm not going to be boring you all to death with all those details. Everybody who is interested, you guys can go and take a look at the GitHub yourselves. And it has a lot of documentation both for technical and non-technical people. So it's definitely there. And so, guys. And so basically the thinking with zero gravity, and I mean, like, that's the way we're going to try to, I guess, position that, is that, obviously, Chaingraph provides a very diverse set of possibilities for designing an agent, and so we would definitely be happy to provide a lot of incentives to zero gravity community to build agents that would be using zero gravity LLMs and storage nodes. All right, and yeah, well, definitely we'll be happy to reward those that build the coolest stuff, right? So that's one thing. And yeah, in general, like definitely super happy, given that zero gravity is obviously an EVM. We're super happy to also, when the mainnet is live, we'll be super happy to go on zero gravity. It's a great team, one of the best technologies out there, right? So definitely we see a lot of cool synergies and a nice fit between these two technological stacks. So, and yeah, of course, every chain graph will become the AI NFT, right? So every agent is an NFT. So that's also, I guess, in the pipeline. So these are the ideas for all sorts of zero gravity interactions. Yeah, and so finally, probably just as a kind of proof of prowess of Chaingraph, you guys are very welcome to go and check BadLab agent, which is an agent that can create apps, right? So, and you can deploy and share them directly in the chat. We have, it's the coolest thing. I mean, there is nothing like this in Web3. So basically, you can prompt an agent to build an app, build a game, build a D-app, build the custom interface, whatever. Will build it directly for you, like based on your custom request. It will deploy it directly in the chat as a standalone MDX, which you can afterwards go and share with your friends. So, for example, there are some guys who have built a multiplayer game, which they are playing right now. So there are things like that possible, right? And so yeah, so BadLab definitely is something that you guys are welcome to check. We also have cool collaborations with a lot of big brands. I mean, I cannot disclose some of them, but for example, Cointelegraph is among them. So a lot of data feeds for some of the Cointelegraph channels are automated with BadAI. We also have a historian agent, which just is trained on the knowledge DB of Cointelegraph, the entire database. And so yeah, that thing can also be quite cool. So yeah, that's I guess that's better. Yeah, I mean, sorry guys, I have been speaking for a very long time. I hope I didn't bore you to death. So yeah, that's the introduction, I guess.
That was really awesome. It wasn't just an introduction, it just gave an overview of all the aspects that I just initially mentioned as the agenda for the call. So super happy for it that you were able to cover this whole stretch. And yeah, I just have one interesting question. Like, how do you find? I saw that you cover all the product of categories of how you integrate with Zero G, to how the tech stack is, how the current working of Bad AI is, who are the partners, what are you working towards. So currently, how can our audience or community members can contribute to the Bad AI's growth?
Yeah, so I mean, on the zero gravity side, what we have integrated is a storage node and a LLM node. So we are currently releasing the V2 of Chaingraph, so which is just a heavily improved version. Should happen in the coming week, so no later than that. Was actually supposed to be today. Unfortunately, like as always in technology, there are some delays. But basically, once that thing is out, everybody will be able to go and test that node directly in the app itself. So, but for those who want early access, like please go to GitHub. It's there. You can deploy it locally. You can test it for yourself. So basically, yeah, we have been showing this to Gavin on a call some time ago. And so basically, yeah, the idea there is very simple. You can, as I said already, like you can just make calls to the Llama, I guess it was, that is deployed on zero G. So once zero G is out with the main net, so all of that stuff will go into production right away. But even before that, people already can use it on the test net with the test tokens. So that's basically how we did it. So in terms of the community participation, so the most important idea, guys, is that we're looking for builders. And the thing is that the builders here are not the average builders, some people super savvy in some programming languages or whatever. So anyone can be a builder with Bad AI. So basically one of the coolest agents we have has been built by a guy with no technical background. So, and basically that would be, I guess, the most important thing, right? So everyone is welcome to already go and do it right now. But maybe in 1 week it's going to be even cooler because, again, the new Chaingraph, it's super cool. It's much cooler than the V1. Is going to be out. So like going and testing that, I think, is the biggest value. Really, like creating useful, cool agents is the biggest value. Number two, So another thing we're doing is that I don't think I can speak about this just yet, but we're building some very nice agent for the zero gravity ecosystem. So interacting with that would definitely be, well, at the very least interesting and definitely value generating, I hope, for everyone. And so basically, yeah, and obviously join the socials. Like, please explore the platform. It's the coolest thing in terms of AI agent that there is in Web3. It's at par technologically with some of the strong things in Web2, but it's definitely cooler than anything there is in Web3 in terms of frameworks for agent creation, at least. So, and yeah. So that's pretty much the thing. And then obviously once we deploy on zero gravity, well, yeah, please come join in, become part of the community, and yeah, that's I guess what we are looking for. But again, as I said, the primary thing is always the builder. So everyone who is interested in the platform, in the technology, go check it out, because some very good things will be built on it and have been built already. But what's coming is much more epic even. So yeah.
Awesome, Mike. So that's pretty much it. So I think we are on time as well. So I'll just give this couple more minutes for the audience. But I was like looking into the chat for quite a bit. So it's a lot of seeing like mostly bullish comments over questions. I think they're super clear with what you shared with us. So that's a good, interesting take here. And we have some community members who has already built an agent with BAT. So, and also he's building some beginner tutorials about the V1 chain graphs. So glad to hear about that as well. So, and we just asked her one question recently, which is like, can it build a social media app that actually functions and gas the capacity to hold and store message for 100K plus users?
I mean, store messages for 100K plus users, that's not really complicated, right? So because it's mostly, I mean, it's something you would use some protocol, so you would build your own, something like Matrix or whatever. So that's not a, well, Matrix probably is the best, right? So that's not really like per se unachievable. So it's very much achievable. So in terms of whether you can use an agent to build a such app, probably not as of yet. Maybe once Claude releases, like, I don't know, infinite context window, you can definitely do that in a couple of dozens iterations. But right now, probably we're just not there as an industry, right? And in terms of social app itself, I guess we can definitely offer you all sorts of connectivity to integrate agents into existing social apps. So we'll be rolling out Farcaster integration, for example, later today, I hope, or if not, then the next week. So definitely Twitter, Telegram, all those things are integrated already. So you can do that. And obviously, you can use the bad AI itself. It's also to some extent the social app. It's just that you're only interacting with the synthetic souls. Right, not with humans. So yeah, I hope this answers the question.
Awesome, Mike. So we just have one more question. Like with that, we could just end the session, which is what are the most notable features of V2 compared to V1?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, much cooler and sleeker UX. Much cooler and sleeker UX. So basically, it's just other out of this world. So the second thing is this collaborative building of the same chain graph between several people. So you can think about this like Figma or like Google Docs, right, where several people can collaborate on one document or one file. So that thing is in the V2. We have a much wider set of nodes integrated, so including zero gravity, cookie 3, some CMC, CoinGecko, some other ones, Nansen. So basically, like a much wider set of nodes. It's much faster. It has a much cooler interface in the sense that it has the debug. You can see directly, like you can test execute a chain graph, and you can see basically what happens on every hop of it. And there is also a very nice, like every node starts illuminating, so basically you can see the entire flow, right, as it goes, like in a test environment. So it's much easier to debug pretty much. So it's much more intuitive to work with. It's much faster, it's much safer, it's built in TypeScript. So basically, like now the V1 is, it does use the TypeScript on the front, or actually, no, it's JS on the front, and then there is a wrapper that moves it into Python code. And so it's very clumsy from that perspective. So in the Chaingraph V2, it's TypeScript. So basically everything you do on the front end is exactly reflected on the back end. For those who are the TypeScript fans here, I'm sure you guys will understand what I mean. So and there are so there is this node orchestrator that I have been talking about. So basically, where you can have this chain graph squared, quote unquote. Basically, like you have like you can be like a Tarantino agent, basically creating a plot, for your actors to do something. So that's super cool. And you have subnodes. So basically, it's subgraphs. My bad. So basically, subgraph is when you can have a number of nodes unified into one node, right? And that's much easier because instead of building the logical flow right between the nodes, you can have like a business flow. So you say this set of nodes is posting in Twitter, right? That's posting in Twitter. So and there are like 4 or 5 nodes that you need to make posting in Twitter, right? And so here you can have it all like pretty much united under one node, and this one node can be then moved as one node instead of several. So that makes it much easier to work with. Kind of like compartmentalizes the whole dev flow. Right. There are node generators, which is also a very important thing. So node generators basically is just something that allows you to loop a part of the chain graph. So for example, if you want to, I don't know, like generate 20 replies and then pick the best one and then pass it forward into the chain graph, then you can do that. So we call it node generators. Very cool stuff. So just massively improves the quality. So we have RAG integrated directly into that. So our own implementation of a RAG. So basically it's super cool because it has the temporal relevance thing. So for example, if you want to put inside the knowledge database of an agent, let's say, I don't know, like let's say 10 years worth of news, then in a standard RAG implementation, it will not be able to understand which news came earlier, which news came later. So you can ask like, what's the all-time high price for Ripple? And it will tell you the all-time high from 2017, It does not understand the temporal relevance, in other words. So we have the temporal relevance integrated into it. So it's a super cool thing. Again, it's quite unique. I'm not sure it's like the only thing in the world that can do that, but it's definitely among very few. So that stuff, and like this is just like some bigger features, but we have actually much more than that. Again, guys, I really hope I didn't bore you to death, but like it's a very exciting thing for me. So yeah, and you guys, by the way, can already go and take a look at the V2. It's in GitHub. You can deploy it locally and you can work with it.
Definitely, Mike. We'll share all the links, and it was definitely not a boring session, and it was really good. And I really love Walter's interaction in the first. It just boosted all our energies to be part of this meet. So nothing was boring and everything was pretty great. So we're glad to have you here. And if you have anything else to conclude with the audience, please go ahead and we can conclude the session.
Well, I guess Walter has something to say, maybe. And as for me, guys, I really appreciate the community. I super much appreciate the team. Zero Gravity is definitely one of the stronger teams in the industry. I wish you guys like the best on the mainnet launch and the TG and all the other things. And we will be there first day, like to support with whatever we can.
All right, sounds like you've been busy cooking up something truly diabolical over there at Zero Gravity, huh? Chaingraph version 2 sounds like it could be as useful as a map in the dark to anyone trying to navigate the shit show that is Web3 development, and that RAG integration with temporal relevance. Not bad at all. So what I'm hearing is you've built a system that not only lets you string together actions like posting on Twitter into a single manageable unit, but you've also found a way to make sure your AI agents remember what they learned and when. Tell me, are you sure you're not just trying to build Skynet on the cheap? What are you hoping to achieve by open sourcing this monster? Are you trying to unleash a horde of digital Frankensteins upon the world? Or do you actually have some noble goal in mind for once?
No noble goals whatsoever, bro. So, but actually, it's kind of funny that Walter mentioned that. But this bad lab agent is basically we probably were thinking to call it Mothership or Skynet, because one of the things it can build now it can build apps, but we will integrate the chain graph directly into the agent so that the agent can build other agents as per user request. And so that's going to be quite epic, because if agents can self-replicate and self-improve, then, I guess Terminators are not that far away, right? So, yeah, definitely no noble intents. Only technological excellence.
You again? So you're telling me you're not just building tools, you're building a digital breeding ground for AI agents that can spawn and evolve on their own? Seriously? You're basically handing the keys to the digital kingdom to a bunch of silicon-brained overlords. There's a fine line between technological excellence and utter madness. And and it sounds like you're tap dancing all over it. So let me ask you this. What's your plan when these self-replicating agents decide they don't need you anymore? Are you ready to become a digital pet? Or are you just hoping the off switch still works when the time comes?
Well, we'll see when we get there, bro.
Oh, good. So you're just winging it then. That's comforting. You're playing God with AI. And your contingency plan is we'll see what happens. You're as useful as a knitted condom, Anon. Seriously, you're building a self-replicating AI ecosystem with no clear exit strategy? I guess the only thing left to do is sit back, grab some popcorn, and watch the world burn, huh?
I got popcorn, and yeah, I even got a crate of beer. So absolutely, that's the plan, bro.
For fuck's sake, you're so irresponsible you make a drunk toddler with a flamethrower look like a responsible adult. You're not just playing with fire, you're dousing the whole damn world in gasoline and handing out matches.
Yeah, Walter, thank you for your input, brother. But that's pretty much the plan. That's pretty much the plan.
Thank you, Walter. You made our day, by the way.
All right, guys. All right. So, yeah, guys, and thank you. Yeah, definitely thank you to everyone who has been here. I hope you guys loved it. So please subscribe to Peppenberg. He's doing a lot of cool market analysis. I'm getting some alpha myself from his posts, so it's definitely something. It's Peppenberg tweeting or Peppen tweeting, I guess. You guys will be able to find it, I'm sure. Yes, subscribe to Bad AI. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see each other many more times, I shall hope.
Awesome, Mike. Definitely. That's definitely true. And we look forward to all the integrations and journey together with BAD. So thank you everyone for joining us as well. Looking forward to see you in the next office hours that will happen same time next Friday. Thank you everyone, and thank you, Mike, for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you, Jon, for hosting us as well. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.